Hello and welcome to A Little Crafting. My name is Annie and this is my podcast where I talk about all the creative things that I get up to. That usually includes a lot of knitting, a lot of sewing, spinning, yarn dyeing, weaving, quilting sometimes. So I hope you find something that you enjoy on this channel. Today is Saturday the 6th of January 2024 and it's been a little while since I last recorded. I unfortunately had COVID over the holidays, so didn't get a chance to feel well enough to record an episode. That does mean that I've got a bit of a bumper session and a whole load of things to show you today. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I am a_little_crafting, and on Ravelry I am Ankiwoo. And I will get started by what I am wearing. So this is an old one but a good one. I calculated that this sweater is coming up to 6 years old because I knit it in 2018. I'm wearing this because I didn't really get to do a festive episode, so I'm wearing my most Christmassy jumper for the podcast today. This is the Vintersol by Jennifer Steingass and it is knit out of Cascade 220 Aran. And I'll stand up so you can see all of the detail. But yeah, it's done pretty well. It's, as I said, almost 6 years old. It's the second sweater that I knit and I absolutely loved knitting this one. So much so that it didn't quite fit right the first time, so I re-knit all of the sleeves and the body to make it fit me better, and it still is one of those things that I get out of my wardrobe every winter to wear over the festive period. It doesn't get a huge amount of wear because it is so warm and also wintry, but it seems to have worn pretty well. It's got a few bobbles here and there that I need to maybe just delint. But yeah, overall super happy with the way that this turned out. It fits me very well still as well, so overall this was a great success, and really gave me an enthusiasm for colourwork yoke jumpers or colourwork in general, to be honest, having knit this. I don't know what the colours are. Hopefully I've got them on my Ravelry project page, which I'll link down below. But yeah, I really like this colour green, especially contrasted against the white. Yeah, so I'm going to be very Christmassy today, despite the fact that it's now January. We might as well keep this festive spirit going. I'm going to swiftly move on to the knitting section. So I have finished a couple of things, but in terms of knitting, the only finished object I have at the moment, and you'll see why later, is my Sophie shawl by Petite knit, which is this one here. I've shown it quite a lot on the podcast before. This is knit out of my own my own hand-dyed yarn. This is an organic merino DK yarn. I used 200 grams worth, but I adapted the pattern based on how much yardage I had, or weight I had. And I don't know what the colour is that I dyed it. I should have a record of it somewhere so that I can re-dye it. But yeah, this is absolutely lovely. I would wear this, I'll show you. So what I normally do with my other one is I kind of fold it over like that, so that I've got kind of two sections for the back part, and then I just go ahead. I'll keep the kind of triangle section at the front, twist it round, and there we go. It's so nice and easy to wear. It's just the right length to do this, to have a bit of warmth around your neck, and then have the two edges hanging down. And yeah, so nice and easy to chuck on. My other pink one I wear all the time. Easier scarf to throw on, except at the moment when I'm wearing my more Christmassy outfits. So yeah, this is all done. It took me quite some time in the end, but I was working on other projects at the same time, and it wasn't a rush. It was kind of my D&D project, and I absolutely love the colour, absolutely love the design. I will have to knit another one because I have loads more yarn I could use for this type of thing. So I expect I'll have a bit of a collection of Sophie shawls at some point in time. Whether I give those away or not, I will see. I was thinking of giving this one to my mum, but I didn't in the end because I just love the colour so much, and wanted to keep this one for myself, but I might make her another one in blue. So yeah, that's a Sophie shawl. Highly recommend the pattern. As I've said before, it is a really straightforward make, but at the same time has a little bit of interest because you're increasing and decreasing, and you've got an I-cord edge which makes it look really neat and tidy at the edges. And it's just a simple increased garter stitch shawl. And she helps you really understand how to adapt the pattern for the amount of yarn you have in the pattern itself. So worth the sort of £3, I think it converted to, that I paid for that pattern. I opted to buy the Sophie shawl because I wanted something longer than the Sophie scarf, which is rather short, but essentially they're the same kind of design. As far as I'm aware, it's pretty much the same process, at least. So yeah, that is one thing that I'm happy to have finished. I am going to talk about my next project, although I haven't got very far with it because I got a bit distracted over the Christmas period, partly because I wanted something easy to knit when I wasn't well. This I am keeping in my antler and acorn lion bag, or jungle bag probably, that I absolutely love. She doesn't have this style anymore, but I will link in the description below to the shop so that you can see what other options she has available. So this one is my Stalactite by Camille Roselle, and this is from Liner magazine edition, or publication number 4, I think. Issue number 4, that's the right wording. There we go. As you can tell, I'm a little bit rusty. So I have done a bit more of the yoke. So it is a top-down raglan with these lovely little stalactite details. You can probably see on the sleeve section a little bit more. And I am on the second set of these, which means that I'm almost going to be splitting for the sleeves. I'm knitting the second size from the smallest, so probably the small I think it is. Yeah, and it's going reasonably well so far. I did have to pause because as I'm knitting it from a physical publication, it's a little bit more tricky to kind of follow and, you know, have a book open and everything when I'm just wanting to be curled up on the sofa under a duvet. But I will pick this one up again, and I will be splitting for the sleeves very soon. So I'll be able to show you a little bit more of the detail, I think, once that's happened, and also let you know whether it fits because I can try it on at that point. The yarn I'm using is the same as this one. It's Cascade 220 Aran. And the colourways are, so this one, which is like a kind of grey blue, and that colour is 8836, yep. And then this one, which is just an ecru colour, in a kind of, yeah, ecru basically. I don't have the label for this anymore, so I don't know what number it is because this was actually used in here, and 6 years ago I lost the label, so that's just using up old stash that I need to finish off. And if you want to know, but I wouldn't recommend you follow this specifically because I do have to go down needle sizes quite a bit I'm actually knitting this on 3.5mm needles, which seems a bit ridiculous for Aran weight yarn, but I tend to kind of gravitate around the 3 to 3.75mm needles for most of my projects, especially in DK to Aran weight yarn. And yeah, it's going well so far. What I would say is that I've very much become used to the Dererum, Natura, Ulysse and Gilliatt yarns that are super light and airy because they're woolen spun. This is worsted spun yarn, and I can definitely feel the difference in that it's going to be heavier, right? Although I don't really notice when I'm wearing this sweater, but I feel like it doesn't quite knit as smoothly, probably because I am so used to the other yarn. So I'm finding it quite a bit harder on my hands at the moment, and it also probably makes sense because I'm using such a small needle size as well. But otherwise I'm really looking forward to having this sweater, and with a raglan it's quite nice and easy to follow, with a little bit of the interest with the Stalactite design, but it's actually super easy. It's just pearls and slip stitches pretty much, so it looks interesting but isn't too complicated to execute, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm hoping to make a bit more progress on this fairly soon, especially now that I'm done with a few things from the end of last year that I will show you shortly as well, that have distracted me a bit from knitting in particular. Next up, I am going to talk about a couple of things I've cast on since I last spoke to you on the podcast. The first one is a grow hat. That is a pattern by Fibre Tales, and I am knitting this in the Grey Sheep Co Hampshire DK in the oatmeal colourway, and that is this one here. So I really love this pattern. I also have the Grow Shawl that I will knit at some point out of my Handspun, but this is how it's looking at the moment. As you can tell from this hat, I am almost done. I should have finished this over Christmas, but look how much yarn I have left at the ball. Basically I really lost at Yarn Chicken, so I probably should have made the rib a little bit shorter if I realised that what I actually had was a 50-gram ball of yarn, not a 100-gram ball of yarn, because most of the time if you have a 100-gram ball, 100-gram skein or ball of DK weight yarn, you can definitely get a hat out of it, but I went ahead, cast on, started knitting, went for a length of rib that I thought was good for me, and then knit all the way up to a certain point and started to look at the yarn I had left and thought, uh-oh, I'm gonna run out of this. Luckily for me, so this is on hold at the moment, which is why I don't actually have any needles attached to it, because I will be seeing the Grey Sheep Co at Unravel in February, so I have a little bit of a wait, which is a bit annoying, but I might as well, because I only want one skein just to finish this off, I might as well wait until then, buy it in person, avoid paying delivery and all of that, as I'm going to be there anyway, and Grey Sheep Co are going to be there. So it's on hold, sadly, otherwise this would have been a definite FO. But I thoroughly enjoyed this pattern. It's a really nice little cable style detail, and I like the fact that in the kind of little trees you've got one that's taller than the other, and I really like the way it looks on me. I'm not going to put it on my head right now, but yeah, I've got an almost hat, almost, very close to being done. It will get finished pretty quickly once I've got the yarn. I'll probably wind it up straight away on the day I get back, to be honest. So yeah, work in progress, but not for long. Seeing as I didn't manage to finish this one because of the yarn issue, I actually opted to cast on another, and this one is in Le Garçon British Aran, and it's in the Crisp Pines green colourway. So this is kind of the colour it looks like. a green I absolutely love. You can see it's pretty close to my my sweater green, and I haven't got a green hat, so I thought I would knit a hat out of this yarn. It is a beautiful shade, and I got it some time ago, I think about 2 years ago maybe. Caked it up and then didn't actually cast anything on, so as I had it caked up I thought, that would make a nice grow hat. So I went ahead and did that, and I'm halfway through a row at the moment, but yeah, pretty much just ribbing right now. I will probably have a finished hat by the next episode, as it's this one goes quite quickly. Really nice to knit. And I'm keeping that in my quince pie bag, but unfortunately she doesn't make those anymore. So yeah, a couple of things cast on. Really sad that I haven't been able to finish my oatmeal one, but yeah, I'll wait and get the yarn to just finish off the top, and then I'll have to find something else to make with the other one. But knowing that it's only 50 grams and has a smaller yardage, I can kind of mix it with something else. For example, do a brim in one colour and the rest of the hat in another colour, perhaps, if I choose to use it for something like that again. Finally, I did want to have a Christmas Eve cast on, so I opted to pull out some of my Handspun, and what I did in true D&D style was get some dice out. So I think I had a few categories. I can't remember exactly, but I went for one dice to narrow down the category of accessories, so cowl, shawl, hat, mittens maybe, I can't remember what else was on the Handspun list. And then once I'd minimised that down, I rolled a die for the amount that were in that category, and therefore chose the pattern. And the pattern that the dice chose was Same But Different by Cheryl Faust, which is a kind of bandana cowl, I suppose. I will pop a picture in here because it might be a bit difficult to see how it's going to look in the end, but this is quite a popular pattern, especially for spin cycle yarns, and I'll show you where I am at the moment if I can make sure I don't pull it all off the needles. So it's kind of upside down here, but I'm hoping you can see. So you start at the bottom where my little pumpkin stitch marker is and work outwards into a triangle, and you can see my Handspun kind of showing up there with the bright colours, and the top part will be the kind of point at the bottom, and let me try and flip it over, and this part will be your sort of bandana section here. Let's see, yeah, maybe that will work. So yeah, I am really happy to be knitting this. It's actually going really quickly. It's mosaic knitting, and I am knitting my Handspun, which is actually Hedgehog Fibres Handspun, alongside Dererum Natura Ulysse in the Goeland colourway. So grey. Some of the Handspun really does blend in to the grey, which is a bit of a shame. I wish I'd chosen something with more contrast, but it's really difficult when you have something that's so multicoloured. So I'm hoping it will still look nice at the end. And yeah, I'm definitely enjoying it. It is quite simple, even though it looks complex, as with any mosaic knitting pattern. You're just doing slip stitches in certain places, and once you get a pattern repeat and you're used to it, you can just keep going. It's knit back and forth, and then it will be seamed on this side here, and it's got an I-cord edge for most of it. I also have to do an I-cord bind off, but I don't mind that too much. I have done them quite a few times before. So yeah, really pleased with how the Handspun is coming out. A little bit disappointed with this middle section, which kind of blends into the grey. But I'm loving being able to work with my Handspun for a project like this, which I know is simple and yet it's going to be really nice to have. And it's kind of going to offset those nice bright colours with the grey very nicely overall. So I'm on to like a pink section right now. I don't know if you're going to be able to see actually. Probably better off showing you the knitting. Yeah, pink section right now. And then the ball goes into green and then yellow. I'm not sure if I'll actually get to the end of the ball. I'll probably have a bit left. There's also a bit of orange, so I think it's pink, orange, green, yellow, and then a bit of orange in the very centre. Very barber pole-y, just because of the way that I spun this up. But it's so much fun to spin this kind of yarn. So yeah, that's where I am with that. I am knitting this one on 3.75 millimeters, so within my usual range. And I am keeping it in this little lovely yarn bowl. This is by Little Wren Pottery, also on Etsy, and I love her yarn bowls. I have 3 of them, I think. I've got a blue one, a kind of natural one, and then I got this one as a Christmas present a couple of years ago. I just thought it was really cute. And I like to keep my projects in there. It's not the best thing for a 2-colour project, so I don't really know why I started this off and popped it in here. But it does the job pretty much, especially because this isn't the project that I'm going to be taking out with me anywhere, so I don't really need a bag for it, and it's almost done regardless. I think I've worked out I've got about 30 rows left of the project. So I'll probably show you that next time in its finished form. I was also tempted to show you the Snaffled shawl, but I have not got much further than last time. So anyone who's watching on a regular basis, basically at the same point as I was before, where I'd ordered more yarn and I hadn't continued yet. I have now wound up the yarn with some other things at Christmas, so I will go full steam ahead back onto that project as well. That's all the knitting that I have been doing, but I have been spending a lot of time doing some other things. So where do I start? Let's start with spinning. So I have been doing a lot of spinning on my World of Wool advent calendar from 2022. I finally finished spinning all 24 yesterday. And I will do a separate episode just running through all of the yarns that I've spun, what the fibre content was, what I liked and what I didn't like, and summary at the end, because there are very clear winners and very clear dislikes based on my experience spinning those 24. There are some yarns that I thought I would really love that I absolutely hated the experience of spinning, and I think that's about almost our perspective on yarn we would like to knit with, or fibre we'd like to knit with, versus fibre that we are spinning, and the fact that it's a tactile thing. You're spinning it with your hands, and it's about keeping everything in motion, moving and working in the right way. But I will stop talking about that now, and if you want to check that out, I will have another episode up soon talking about all of those 24 spins. However, I have been having a lot of fun doing the 100 days of drops of spindle spinning that Andrea Murray and a friend of hers, I think, started off just before December, the 1st of December. And I've been keeping up with this really well. Every single day I'm doing at least 15 minutes of spinning, sometimes half an hour if I'm really into it. And I am using a little Turkish drop spindle or cross spindle. There you go, you can see the yarn that I am spinning on there right now, which is a lovely yellow sparkly one from World of Wool in one of their fairy tale packs, I think it was in. So yeah, I am getting much better, and I'm really enjoying the process right now, and the 15 minutes a day has really helped me get used to it, because to begin with I was quite frustrated with the fact that it wasn't working, but giving myself 15 minutes a day to practice has really helped. And I love the way that this little spindle works. You spin it, drop it, ply, not ply, draft, and then wind back on in this really nice way, in a kind of, I can't remember what they call it, but basically you get a ball off here that you can just ply straight off. There you go. And it's really lovely. This particular spindle was from Tine and Floyd. It is a 48 gram spindle. I have since ordered a lighter one just to try and see what difference it makes, because I'm curious. And let me show you some of the little mini skeins that I've spun so far. So the first one was this one, and all of these are actually the same kind of yarn but just dyed in different colours. So this is Polworth from Furbeck Fibres, and you can see I wasn't too good at the start. There you go. So yeah, lovely kind of green neutral colour. But yeah, I wasn't too good at making sure my spinning was consistent to begin with on the drop spindle. I think also when you're used to a spinning wheel, it feels quite slow, and it is still very different. You may, you know, understand how to draft and how to ply, but it's a completely different motion because you're not moving your hands and feet in tandem. You're dropping something, spinning it, and I actually find I draft very differently with a drop spindle. The second one I believe was this one, where I was getting a little better, although there are definitely some thick and thin bits in there. Oh, and just to say, I also chain plied all of these because I need some practice chain plying, and it was a bit easier with a one ball to do that. Then I also have this blue and red one, again some thick and thin bits, but I think I can see that I was getting better over time. And then this one's much better actually. So this is a kind of pink and purple section. Yeah, so I can see I'm improving every single mini skein that I spin and ply. I actually have a bit more of this yellow fibre that I've got on here now, so I think it will be about 50 grams, whereas these are probably 20 at most, I think. They were just little bumps in a bag that I had a selection of. This is what the fibre looks like. I'm not sure if you can see the stellina. It is merino and stellina fibre. Yeah, I thought I'd treat myself and spin something a bit more sparkly. So yeah, that is that one. I'm going to cover acquisitions now because I only have one to share with you and it's spinning related. So give me 2 secs. So at Christmas I got a gift from a friend of mine from Rose Garden Fibres on Etsy, and I will show you what I got. These are all Rolags because I was very keen to try and start spinning Rolags and possibly try woolen spinning. And these all are absolutely lovely and kind of mixed fibres. So this was a free gift that came with them, kind of all these dark plum purples. Then I got 2 sets, and I think they're all mixed fibre and mixed sizes. But this one is Butterfly Garden. Again, lots of pinks and purples together. And I can see there's some Surrey silk in there as well. And then this one is, I think, my favourite. It's blues and purples, but this is going to be absolutely lush when I spin it up. And both 100 grams worth in one of these bags. And so yeah, I'm really excited to get those spun. I'm not sure when I'm going to do that. Now I've finished my 24 my advent, I will potentially spin those next. I haven't decided yet. I might look through my stash and see if I can find something else that I really want to get spun up. But yeah, really pleased to be able to try some of those. Thank you to my friend for getting them for me. And then I will move on to embroidery and cross stitch, which is what I've been spending most of my time on over the Christmas and New Year period, actually. So this is going to be a big one to show you. The first thing I finished over the festive period is my Vikas Space stitch along for 2023. And I did a lot of this whilst I was sick. It seemed like the best thing to do because satin stitch like this is so easy to just, you know, you follow the lines pretty much. And yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think this is a 12 or 14 inch hoop. It doesn't actually say on there, so it is quite large, but I'm pleased I did it this way. I think on the 23rd I'd done quite a lot of the trees, but I hadn't started the, I was partway through the light green and I hadn't started the dark green yet. And then I did the dark green, the mountains at the top, and I put little snowy caps on them as well, which my husband suggested. And then I had to order some more thread for the river, because I realised when I first bought the thread for this, I had forgotten to get the blue, but I changed my mind about what I wanted to do anyway. So I ended up doing this kind of two-tone wavy river instead, and I did that last and finished that off in the afternoon on New Year's Eve pretty much, so just in time for the end of 2023. And I am so happy with this. It's a huge, quite a big project, but honestly it's very relaxing, and I recommend you try satin stitch embroidery if you haven't already and you're into that kind of thing. You can tell that I don't know if you'll be able to tell from there, but I didn't do very well at making the kind of orange and yellow sections that neat, because I was brand new at it. For example, there I'd never done satin stitch embroidery before until I started this project, but it's turned out great anyway, and now I know I love it, and I've also got a lot better at doing it. So you can see the river is actually pretty neat and tidy in general, and the mountains worked really well too. So yeah, super pleased about that. I just need to finish off the back and then I will hang it up on my wall. And I've got a few things now that I need to hang up. I've got my D&D ampersand cross stitch, I've got this, and I've also got the other Vikas Space project that I did, which was Mount Rainier. Yeah, so I'll have an array of different bits of embroidery to display in my office. Yeah, super happy with that one. I didn't finish any other embroidery. but I did definitely start some. So the first one I started, but actually I swiftly moved over to the stitch along, is this one here, which is one I bought in the Netherlands. I'll link to the shop, the online shop, in the description below. And it's a very Christmassy one. You can see the colours of threads there are kind of red and green, and it's a circular cross stitch, and I have started it. I've pretty much done some gold bits in the centre and then part of a Christmas tree, and then started another Christmas tree. I will continue with this now that I'm done with my stitch along, and try and get it. My idea is actually to get it done for next Christmas, I think, rather than trying to rush it and get it done earlier than that. So that one's going to be a fun project for the year, and for Christmas next year. Hopefully I'll have it completed. The other thing I have embarked upon, and this is by a maker on Etsy, I'll link to the description in the description below again, called Teeny Weeny Cross Stitch, and I think it's the same person as Stitch It Picasso. And that is the potion stitch along for 2024, and this is essentially a bit like a temperature blanket, but instead of a knitting or crocheting, you cross stitch a tiny bottle on a shelf every day that makes up the full year of temperatures. So I've got a temperature sort of guide in terms of the colours that I want to use, and these are all being kept in another of my acquisitions. So yeah, you can see in there I've got a whole load of little bundles of colour. I'm using stranded cotton from DMC for most of mine, and yeah, you stitch a little bottle a day, and that reflects a visual of the temperature data for the year, and I'm a big data nerd, so this appeals very much so. I haven't done very much yet because I am speaking to my dad about getting the data from his weather station and figuring out how to get that on a daily basis. So I need to figure that out, but I have started the shelf. So I've done a little tiny bit on here, and I'm doing this on black Aida, so it's going to be a bit trickier to stitch, but so far so good for my one line that I've done. This little needle minder is from Vikas Space. I got it whilst ordering a kit, I think. And yeah, I'm getting on well. I haven't done very much, but I've got myself all set up at least. I've got all of my colours selected, and I hope to be able to show you this throughout the year, maybe once a month or once a quarter, just to show you how I'm getting on with it. My idea is that to encourage me to get up on time every day, and spend a bit of time having a coffee and doing my cross stitch, I can both, I guess, motivate myself to get up early, because I'll have something that I want to do every day, and also, yeah, kind of combine that with keeping on top of the project, obviously. I did want to just show you this little project holder. This is from Turtle Bay Stitches on Etsy, and it was one that I just ordered for Christmas because I have one, but my husband's got stitches in it and he hasn't done any for a long time. So yeah, I thought this one was really nice. It's got owls on it and it's my kind of colours, and it's got this lovely vinyl front so you can see everything that you've got in there. So I've got pens, I've got little bits and pieces, I've got my scissors, the bit of paper that has all of my temperature ranges on it, all in one place. At the moment I can't fit the actual project in there because it's so big. The Aida's enormous, so it will have to just stay together on top of it for now. that is everything I have to share. So I hope you had a much better Christmas and New Year than I did, if you celebrate those festivals. And if you didn't celebrate, I hope you had a nice break anyway, and were able to have some quality time to yourself and for crafting, of course. Now that we're in 2024, I am not going to push myself too much to set resolutions or anything like that. I think my main resolution is to not set too many goals for myself, that I just fail all of them, if you see what I mean. So I'm just going to take it easy, do what I feel like, and I will try and record as much as possible, but that's what I've been doing anyway. So there we go. I hope to see you more often regardless. I have some very, very loose things like finishing languishing whips, knitting more from publications or books that I have, because I have a lot of books and I very rarely knit from them, partly because I find it harder because I have to have a physical thing in front of me rather than just my pattern on my iPad, but I want to make sure I'm using those as much as I can. I got the Ready Set Raglan book from Pom Pom before Christmas, so I should be using that really as well. And otherwise, just want more room for creativity. I feel like not being able to do much over Christmas has really ignited my passion for crafting again, because mostly all I was doing was spinning, knitting and embroidery over Christmas, and I'm really tempted to try and keep that momentum, but obviously I have a day job, so that's going to be tricky. But yeah, let's see what 2024 brings. I hope it's a really good year, and otherwise I will probably see you maybe next month, maybe at the end of this month, and have a lovely crafty few weeks. Bye.